House released what it's calling the most comprehensive scientific assessment ever of climate change. The report shows weather spiraling out of control, impacting every corner of this country. It predicts temperatures in the U.S. soaring by 10 degrees by 2100, increasing snow and rain in the Northeast, and stronger hurricanes in the Southeast. It's like a Roland Emmerich movie.
All right. I don't even know why I play Ronan Farrow. I really don't. Good for comic relief, I guess. Anyway, welcome back. Steve Malzberg with you, and we are joined by Joe Bastardi, our friend, the chief forecaster for WeatherBELL Analytics and former chief long-range forecaster for Accuweather. Hello, Joe.
Hi, nice to be here. Let's remember, I always tell people that I am a degreed meteorologist, not someone who just plays one from time to time.
I was going to get to that because I was going to ask you if you were one of the meteorologists who Obama had invited to the White House.
Well, I see the president has invited a lot of meteorologists, and I think that's great. I don't think he invited any that would actually challenge him face to face on all the data. I've often, tweeted, just give me an hour with you so you can explain to me why I'm wrong and what I'm looking at in the actual facts. But he did invite Al Roker. So Al does a great job of certainly reporting the weather and making people watch for the weather. But he is a journalist, and I don't think he's ever had to put together a forecast, for instance, for last winter like we did, where energy companies that are actually paying you make a forecast for them. My point being is that when you have to fight with the weather every day, you become very, very cognizant of what the atmosphere could do, and you want to know what the atmosphere has done. And that's why I'm in this fight, because I see people making statements that are either ignorant of the facts or purposely deceptive as to where this country's been. I saw one yesterday.
Well, let me give you. Joe, let me give you an example. You can't be talking about Dr. Obama, who, ignorant of the facts, said if your daughter can't breathe, you take her to the hospital and get her a breathalyzer, and doctors rather cut off your leg than cure your diabetes, and also said, purposely deceitful, in my opinion, if you like your doctor, you can keep it. If you like your insurance company, you can keep it. You wouldn't be talking about the same President Obama, would you?
I certainly try to shy away from attacks on people who did the work to become elected. I mean, I think that's one of the wonderful things about our country. But I'm talking about the people in my field that are actually, to me, are making statements, or even climatology, that are making statements that reveal to me, and they're pushing a lot of this because a lot of the climatologists out there are getting rock star status now. You know, this was, when I was going to school in the 70s, the climatologists were sort of like, yeah, okay, you go on and just go be over there. You can't forecast the weather, so you do climatology, right? So
yeah, you didn't get the girls like the football players, right?
Yeah, well, let me tell you something. Most weather nerds don't care about girls that much. One or two of them just happen to show up sometime, and I lucked out in that. I happen to have wrestled at Penn State, so I was sort of half nerd, half not nerd there. But let me get back. Let me get back to this.
Go ahead.
To me, I've always used climatology and climate as a foundation for my forecast. This was preached to me by my father, who is a meteorologist, a degreed meteorologist out of Texas A&M. And in those days, they really studied weather patterns and similarities of weather patterns to other patterns. And he taught me, or he set that in me as a way to set the weather up. So I've been studying all this stuff, and then someone comes out. For instance, I think John Podesta said that winters are going to get hotter, or summers are going to get hotter and winters colder. Oh, you mean like the 1930s? I instantly tweeted, because I know where to go. Let's look at the mid-1930s and how hot the summers were and how cold the winters were then. And also the fact that the drought index in the United States in 1934, July 34, 80% of the country was in severe drought. So what are you saying? We're going to go back to where we were when the weather was not because of CO2? My problem with all this is I believe that what is going on here is sort of the perfect storm of political, almost religious fervor, economic fervor, and this what to me is almost an arrogant attitude that encourages these people to think they can be literally hero worshipped. You look at You look at what, Steve, for instance, climatologists writing books on weather wars and climate wars and being heroes and villains. That's not what science is about. What we're about is finding the right answer and constantly answering questions that are put to us, not shutting down debate. Every time debate
All right,
is
let me ask you. Joe. Let me ask you. So this report that came out of the White House. How would you describe it?
I think there's one real good statement out of it that I agree with 100%. That in all probability, looking at everything that's going on, the climate will continue to progress and change for the next 100 to 200 years. That's a brilliant statement, since it's been changing since the day the Earth evolved, and that was almost unbelievable. I'm like, duh.
But they blame it, of course. They blame it, of course, on humans, with all these dire predictions included. And the report, by the way, uses the phrase climate disruption as another way to say global warming. So they backed off that global warming.
Here's what they're doing, Steve. They're moving away from global warming because it has stopped and they've busted. And the media, I wrote a blog on the Patriot Post, a lick of guts and an ounce of smarts. That's what my wrestling coach used to say, that you need to be successful. A lick of guts and an ounce of smarts. The media lets them get away with it. They said global warming, they own it. So what they did was they realized the climate's always been changing. Who can possibly deny that the climate changes? It goes back and forth in natural cycles. That's what we believe. So what happens? Climate change, climate disruption, carbon pollution, this type of thing. You know, we have a whole, the course Organic Chemistry, and the whole study of organic chemistry is a study of carbon and its compounds and the effect on life. It's not like we're talking about sulfur dioxide or anything like that here. So what they're doing is changing the playing field. Now I want to ask your viewers this: why would you trust somebody that said one thing, and then as soon as he starts being wrong says, no, well, we'll just change it to this or change it to that? Now, what answer don't they own?
Yeah, no, absolutely right. All right,
what answer? Look, I'm asking all the people that disagree with me, just tell me something, because I know that if the temperature starts rising again and starts catching up to these computer models, which have busted horribly, and yet the EPA is basing part of their lines of endangerment on computer models that have nothing to do with reality. I know if it starts going up again and reaches that point that you predicted, okay, I'm wrong. But what I'm going to ask people right to their face, what is it that you can see that makes you think that A, there's doubt, or B, you might be wrong? If your answer is nothing, then let me tell you something. You don't know what you're talking about, because every person should understand what faces them and how he can tell he's wrong. That's what I do for a living. Believe me, the weather will slap you and humble you back into place very quickly, so you realize what wrong and right is about if you fight every day.
Joe, no, absolutely correct. Now, but you would be classified as, I hate to say, a one percenter. Not because of what you make, but they have told us. The president has told us, maybe because of what you make, but the president has told us the debate is over. We've heard it now we've heard it from media outlets. We've heard it from the host of reliable sources on CNN, who basically, from what I remember, implied or said outright that networks shouldn't be inviting people who disagree with global warming, quote unquote, because it's established science. It's over. So let me ask you this: what percent, or how many, if you've ever gotten an estimate, of scientists, climatologists, meteorologists do you believe like you do? How many, or what percent?
I would say operational meteorologists, well over 50%. The guys that have to make a living at doing this, especially in the long-range field. There's over 30,000 of us, 9,000 PhDs that signed the Oregon petition against the Kyoto Accords because they just didn't believe it. Okay, I'm going to quote. I believe it's Armistead and Gettysburg, to all these people that are simply swallowing the party line and just marching. You may live, but what will you think of yourself in the morning? I don't know if you ever saw that movie. You want to know something? You may go along with things now, but eventually when you find your energy prices so that poor people can't afford them, or rolling blackouts, or our country just shackled 25 to 29-year-olds, we have record high unemployment. What do you think is causing these things to happen, right? Okay.
All right,
okay.
Joe, we got less than less than a minute, so I'm going to much less than a minute. What's the motivation here? Is it for power and regulation or is it for this carbon tax nonsense?
I know what my motivation is, to seek the right answer, and whether it's a forecast tomorrow, 20 years from now, I weigh all the factors and make a forecast from it. That's why I'm on record as saying by 2030, as measured by satellites, we're back in the 70s. I don't quite, I don't have the mind of another person, but from what I see going
Fair enough.
from what I see going on, it appears there's other motivations besides getting the right answer.
All right. Joe, always love talking to you, my friend. Thank you very, very much. Joe Bastardi, ladies and gentlemen. And when we come back, it's Gimme 5. Don't miss it.